Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be taking a ride along with Sergeant Dale Armstrong at the LaGrange Police Department. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned for our ride along in just a moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here for a ride along today with one of our LaGrange police officers. We have Sergeant Dale Armstrong here with the LaGrange Police Department. Sergeant Armstrong, we want to just say thank you for allowing us to ride along with you here today. It's a little bit rainy, so we're going to ride around the city and kind of watch some traffic and just talk a little bit about some things that you normally see on a daily basis.
Well, good. Well, thanks for having me there. It's a great opportunity, and I appreciate you letting us do it.
Well, you know, this is kind of reminiscing here a little bit. I remember days of old, and I can remember back some years, I think it was back in 1988, 89, I believe it was. I had a field training officer that sat over on this side, and I was over on the driver's side there. And, you know, he observed me and graded me and told me things that I was doing right, things that I was doing wrong. So today we're going to look out in the traffic. Do you happen to know who that guy was?
I can say he must have been a fine traffic training officer there, but I think it was me, if I recall.
Was that you?
It was me.
I think it was you some years ago. So here we are again, back together, right?
That's right.
Well, you know, from our days of old, and you are one of the traffic officers here with the City of LaGrange Police Department, and, you know, particularly when we have wet weather as we have here today, you know, there's some precautionary things that you like for the drivers to do. Just kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that you expect the drivers, or will hope that the drivers do. Well,
what we hope them to do is, of course, and since it's rainy or any kind of inclement weather, we'd ask them to slow down, and which will help tremendously in any kind of situation you might encounter. Then also increase your following distance, you know, from the car in front of you. And that's even at a red light like we are now. We're in front, but even if you're the car behind me or behind a vehicle, you would still want to give a good following distance just in case. You know, that way if a car behind you maybe is going a little bit too fast or something, you can maybe pull up a little bit to give you some room, that sort of thing. But you see me scanning around too. You know, that's what you want to look for too. When you scan and you look around, you're aware of situations that might arise, and that's what I'm doing here too while we're driving around.
Okay, all right. Scanning, I can remember back days ago, days of old, we called it 3D driving. Right?
That's right.
Absolutely. You just kind of, as you approach an intersection, you want to make sure there's not a car that's approaching that may not necessarily realize that the light is on red and proceed through. And just tell us where we're riding right now, if you don't mind.
Well, right now we're riding down Bull Street through downtown area here. And, you know, like I say, we have folks crossing the road here. That's what you want to do. You know, other hazards that you might want to look for while you're driving just any town, but in here in particular, are all these parked cars that we have on our left and our right. You know, it's, any one of those cars can back up at any minute, may not see you, especially in this kind of weather, and they just may not know you're there, and so you have to be aware of them, that they may not see you, and then plan accordingly.
That's right, absolutely. And, you know, again, it's, you know, just common sense safety tips that the drivers can take, you know, to make sure that they get themselves home safe or to work safe, and, you know, others. And I noticed you're checking your mirrors and you put your blinkers on. Is it against the law for us not to use our signals?
You're required by law to use your signals, okay? And that's it's mostly a safety feature for that, and that's to let people know where you're going. And that's the whole point of it. Let them know where you're going.
Absolutely. You know, I know sometimes you could be sitting at an intersection ready to proceed out, and a car is coming, is kind of slowly approaching, and then they don't have a signal on, but then all of a sudden they'll make that turn. Right. You know, and you're like, oh man, why didn't they use their signal, you know?
Yeah. And also talking about that too, even though someone is using their signal, like maybe signaling a right turn, and they're coming at you, and don't assume that they're going to turn. Okay, because sometimes folks, you know, they get lost. They think they're turning there, but they're not going to turn, and they go straight, and then you pull out in front of them, and then you're involved in a wreck. So make sure those folks actually begin their turn first before you come out into the roadway.
Well, yeah, and that's a very good point, you know, because a lot of times, you know, I've seen, I drive down the interstate each day, and somebody just riding along there in the right-hand lane, the blinker's just going.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So, now, we're approaching here a crosswalk here on Main Street. And it says state law says stop for pedestrians. Why is it that sometimes we see people just barrel right on through these?
Well, of course, some of them, you know, like these are marked, it tells you there, but that's any crosswalk, and some folks think that don't understand that the crosswalk is for pedestrians. That's their safety zone, and law requires you to yield to those pedestrians in there. So some folks are just too busy thinking about where they're going, not knowing that they have to yield and that sort of thing. And that's why a lot of them don't stop, which is why a lot of those signs are good to remind folks to stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk.
Absolutely, because sometimes you see people darting out in between cars, and that's very unsafe.
That's right.
You were mentioning a moment ago about the cars over on Bull Street there as they're pulled in. And you had a pedestrian to walk out between those cars, and somebody's coming down through it at a rapid rate of speed. That could be some serious injury there.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Now, as we talk, and I was just mentioning about speed, in the downtown area, what is the minimum speed limit that cars should be traveling at?
Well, it's different. A lot of folks think that the speed limit, okay? Well, the City of LaGrange, the speed limit, unless you see some other sign posted, is 30 miles an hour because it's a residential speed, okay? So, but there is no law, except maybe on the interstate where you have to do a minimum speed, but there is no law that says you have to drive the speed limit. For instance, today the speed limit is, the speed limit's 30 in the city, like I said, but it's raining. So you shouldn't really be driving 30 miles an hour. You should drive a little slower to give you time to stop and react to anything that might come up.
Absolutely.
So but folks get hung up on the speed. I have to go 30 or 35 or 40 or whatever the speed limit is, but no, you really don't. It's based on the conditions of the roadway at the time.
Absolutely, and it's very, good point. The conditions of the roadway, because a lot of times, not here inside the city, but if you're out on the interstate, you see the construction zone.
That's right.
So, and people need to realize they have to slow down, and I think the ticket fine increases if you're caught speeding in one of those areas.
It does. Yeah, if it's marked, it can be. I think the minimum speed in a construction zone or minimum fine is it starts at 100 and goes up from there.
Oh Lord, now that's money that people could probably keep in their pockets. I know the school's getting ready to start. The kids probably could say, hey, well, that was money that could be spent on some school supplies or something.
That's right.
All right, and we're approaching the intersection of New Franklin Road and Morgan Street, and New Franklin Road is a very busy street here in our city. Talk a little, and I know there's been some accidents here along this main strip of road. What are some of the things that you see people doing that cause various accidents along here?
Well, the most common one here is following too close. Someone just right on someone's bumper. The other ones we see are failing to yield. Okay. One of the more common places that they have, where we have wrecks there, is that Dairy Queen up here. It's coming up here in a minute.
Okay.
The traffic will back up, and then someone will come out of Dairy Queen or one of these other businesses out here, and someone will be nice and stop and let a car come out of the driveway. Well, being this is a 5-lane highway, you can't control all those lanes.
That's right.
A lot of times someone will stop, let you out, but then you cross into another lane that's not stopping for you, and then there's a collision. And that happens, quite frankly, right in this area that we're in now, from Bob Williams to New Franklin Road or wherever, any of these little places here.
Now, in a situation like that you just explained, the person that is stopped perhaps here in the right lane, and they're allowing the car to make a right turn or left turn and come out, and the cars in the other lane proceeds and it hits the car.
Right.
Are there tickets normally issued in a situation like that, or how is that handled?
Well, because even though someone's letting you out, it's still a driver's responsibility to make sure it's safe to come out. So the car coming out of the driveway, of course, would be at fault in the crash for failure to yield right away, and would probably and most likely receive a citation for it. Okay,
all right. So even though you have some drivers that are trying to be courteous, it is probably, when you, like you said, you can't control all 5 of the lanes. So it's best probably to let them come out when it's clear. That's right. And let the driver that's coming out of the driveway make that decision. And wait for all these cars to turn, because this is another common error here, is that although when you see these cars turning left, they're supposed to stay in the left lane, but a lot of them take this right lane closest to the Taco Bell. So although that's how they're supposed to turn, sometimes they don't. So that's why I'm waiting for them to make sure they turn. That way we don't have a little altercation right here in the middle. And that's a very good tip. I'm sure a lot of the viewers may not have known that they must stay in the left lane and not come over into the right lane. Yeah, see, there's one right there that did it. That's why I waited. And the reason for that is because we can make a right turn on red after we stop, and those other cars can come off of New Franklin on Commerce and keep on going. But as you saw just a second ago from that red car up here,
that sometimes they don't do that. And that's
Right.
why you wait and make sure it's safe before you go.
Okay, well, very good. That's a good tip. And I know most, and you're talking about a right on red. Most intersections that drivers come up to, unless it's marked, they can make that right on red. Is that?
That's right. After
Okay.
they stop first,
Okay.
you have to come to a complete stop first.
All right. Okay. Very good. Now that the rain has moved out, even more so, it seems like everybody's kind of, I guess, gotten into work or driving at a safe rates of speed here. And this road here itself is a pretty busy road as well. This is Commerce Avenue, and I know that we've had some incidents that have taken place over here as well. We're passing the Kroger here now and Watts Furniture. And I know that down coming up at the next intersection, there have been a number of wrecks that have happened.
That's right.
Youngs Mill. And again, as people approach, let's say, for example, because I know I was out on the Parkway on yesterday, and right there at the Calumet Center, the traffic light had gone out, and it's just flashing yellow. Help our viewers to understand what they should do when it's flashing yellow or red.
Well, the flashing yellow means it's still at work, even though the lights may be not working correctly, because it's flashing, it's still working. So if you come to a yellow flashing light, you're supposed to come to the intersection, slow down if needed, because that's kind of like your yellow light, it's kind of like a caution signal, I guess. Okay. So you come to the intersection, you slow down, you look around, make sure it's safe, and then you go, and you continue on. If it's flashing red, and you're seeing the red, that is just like a stop sign, and then you're supposed to stop and make sure it's safe, and then you go. It's the same thing for for that part, the stopping part, for an non-functioning traffic signal. For instance, there's no light at all. That's not giving a yellow light, red light, anything. It's just dark. Every vehicle that comes to that type of traffic signal is supposed to stop and then look both ways, or how many ways you need to, depending on how big the intersection is, and then go. It's like a four-way stop sign when the light's not working. And that's any time.
Absolutely. That's very good. And I think back to when I took my driver's test, you really concentrated on all those things, and I think as we get older and we get more accustomed to driving, we get more comfortable with it, then some of those things, those just the little things that you just talked about, they don't become first nature to become, a driver.
You forget about some of those tips and those laws or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask, we're passing a few cars here now, and even though it's not raining at this particular moment, we see some cars that have the lights on, some cars that don't have the lights on. Is there a law about having your lights on during the time that it's raining or after it is finished raining? Is there a law about that?
Well, as long as if it's inclement weather, raining, when it's raining, you have to have your headlights on. Okay. If your headlights are going, it's a good time to turn on your headlights. If it's foggy, your headlights need to be on. Snowing, your headlights on. Now, technically, I guess here, since it's not raining, you would not, but it's good because it's kind of gray and dingy and dark. It's good to have your headlights on, just because people can see you better. So any kind of inclement weather, you should have your headlights on. It's just good practice, because you can be seen that much easier.
Absolutely. I've seen cars, coming in some mornings, and it can be still a little heavy fog, and it may have a darker vehicle and no lights on whatsoever.
You're hard to see.
And it's very hard to see. Absolutely.
You're exactly right.
Now, we're here on Hogansville Road getting ready to pass Twin Fountains Nursing Home, and traffic's very light this morning, or is it pretty light?
Well, it is pretty light this morning. I'm surprised.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like either folks are at work or getting to where they're going, which is great. But we're going to go down Davis Road and then hit the Parkway and come back that way.
Yeah, and the Parkway is another one of our main thoroughfares here, and and I know that out towards the interstate you have a lot of restaurants and things and cars trying to make the coming onto the main road there, and sometimes cars are moving at a rapid rate of speed, and some of those coming out don't make it across or whatever, and it can be potentially dangerous as well.
Yeah, the more places people come in and out of course you have to be extra more careful when you're riding on the road itself, and then when you're coming out, because folks are going faster sometimes than you think they are. You may know what the speed limit is, but some folks don't drive it.
That's right.
And they can get on, they can come to you very quickly.
Absolutely. And sorry, no, you've been in the traffic division for now how many years?
Well, since I think '94, I left for about a year, and then I came back. So Ever since 1994.
Okay. All
Pretty
right.
much, except for that 1 year.
So that's fair to say that you perhaps have worked a number of accidents in this city, correct?
Yeah, I've worked quite a few. You
Yeah.
know, some minor, some very major.
But and I guess in most cases, of course, it is driver error. But what would you think the percentage of those accidents could have been preventable?
Oh, all of them in most cases. Now, if there's a deer, you know, you don't know when a deer is going to jump out, but
Right.
but most crashes are if it's a two-vehicle crash, well, two drivers took part in that, you know, because one wasn't watching for the other guy.
Right.
One might have been speeding or whatever, pulling out, but the other guy should have been watching, or the other person should have been watching for what the other guy did and could have avoided it. So many of them are, if not all of them, are preventable. If we just kind of take our time, slow down, don't speed, watch out for the other person. And we mentioned this in our defensive driving class that we offer frequently. You know, there's a bunch of defensive driving tips, but the one I always like to focus on, which has common practice everywhere, no matter where you drive, but if we practice common sense, courtesy, and cooperation, those three things, besides slowing down, increase the following distance, will get you going through anywhere you want to drive. It doesn't matter if it's New York, Boston, LaGrange, Atlanta, West Point. Practicing common sense, courtesy, and cooperation gets us all to where we're going safely.
That sounds good. You know, that's a recipe for safety, isn't it?
That's right.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a turn left here on Lafayette Park for just a minute. I want to show you something that that you may not know,
All right.
and maybe the other drivers may not know.
Oh, okay. Very good.
And then we'll whoop around and come back.
Very good. And I know that I guess it was earlier last week. I think we had a truck that caught fire, I believe it was. And this is a very busy intersection here. And I can remember, unfortunately, I was coming down the Parkway here a couple years ago, and the vehicle was making a left turn, didn't see me, just turned right into me, you know, and creamed me and spun me around a few times. And fortunately, I was not injured, or they were not injured either.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But yeah, this intersection here is common for folks stopping in the middle and blocking it, and which creates issues. And that's and a lot of folks don't know that, but that's an aggressive driving behavior. Was when you block an intersection. You know, there's the trick to that is if you can't get out of the intersection, don't even come in it.
Don't even get in.
It's just one smooth motion to get in and out, because it's not safe inside an intersection, because people run stop signs, run red lights, are turning. So it's safe to not even enter it until you can get out of it.
And you know, I've been in the downtown area, and I know some of the big semi trucks, sometimes they, you know, come across the downtown area, and I've seen, you know, them stretched out across the interstate where traffic can't even move because they got it just completely blocked up.
I think we're going to see what I wanted to show you. If those cars, or see that car on the right is coming to the left. Okay, so he's going to come in the middle, kind of block us up a little bit, because it wasn't safe to go. He should have stayed where he was. He's in our lane. But if you notice too, the driver is driving over these double yellow lines. Well, it's against the law to drive over these double yellow lines. This is a safety zone. You're not supposed to drive through here. So what you should do, if you're coming out of any of these businesses here, you should make a right turn, and either you turn here or you turn at the light or where it says you can, or come further. Those lines are there to keep you from turning left, because it's not safe. They want you to come right.
Come down.
We're going to turn around up here at the Red Roof Inn, since there's not that many cars coming.
And you know, talking about intersections and stuff, like right here, you know, say for example right here, the point that you just made there, it's okay to come out of this intersection here to come across, because you don't have the double yellow line.
That's right. It's broken, it's white. You never want to cross a solid line, essentially.
All right.
So yeah, but that double yellow line is something that you just can't, you're not supposed to cross at all.
Safety zone, stay away. There you go. Okay. And I see and all of this is inside the city limits here, and we have the New Georgia State Patrol office that's going up over here on the right-hand side. Absolutely. And let me ask you now, because we're approaching the off-ramp here from Interstate 85, and you notice that truck, it stopped, and now it has proceeded onto the main road. There's no stop sign there.
No, it's governed by the red light.
Okay, governed by the red light. So if the traffic is flowing and both lanes of traffic have cars in them, the cars come up there, it's okay for them to make that right out.
As long as they stop first, and if you're talking about the red light, yes.
Okay.
They stop first and make the right on red.
Okay. But I notice sometimes, cars come up there, I'm not going to say who, they'll come up. Yeah, there you go. Look.
So, like I say, that car there came out, and now he's in the turn lane, but he's not turning left. He's turning right, and actually that van had to move out of his way. Okay, that is driving for convenience, not for safety.
Right.
Should have stayed where he was and waited just a second or two, and they wouldn't have maybe had this. Well, they could have had a collision, but one driver was paying attention and avoided.
Moved over, and now he's moving over. Mm-hmm. You think he might have got a little kind of nervous when he saw the police car?
Might have.
There you go. We just passed an area back here that, cars come to the site of the old movie theater, and cars will attempt to make a left turn now. And I can remember, that's a very dangerous intersection, people trying to come out and make those left turns.
That's right. Anytime you make a left turn is extremely dangerous, and especially there, because there's a slight little hill there, and you can't see cars until they're almost right on top of you.
That's right.
If you can't see, it's always best just to make that right turn, find a place where you can turn left, and that sort of thing. Drive for safety, not necessarily to get you where you're going quickly.
Absolutely.
Drive for safety, because you have to make it to where you're going.
That's right.
See, I'm stopping out, like say that truck on the left of us there stopped pretty close to the car in front of it, which we were talking about earlier. You always want to have that following distance, like I have here, just to give it some room. There is no room for this person.
Right.
So if that truck would get hit in the rear, 10 to 1 says he'll probably hit that car in front of him too.
So you got a chain effect there.
That's right.
Absolutely. And you say a safe distance there. You see some people that'll stop maybe a car length distance. Yeah,
you need a little bit more than that. You want to be able to see a lot of pavement between you and the other vehicle.
Okay.
And following distance when you're driving is simple. It's the 3-second rule.
Okay.
And then there's a 3-second plus rule, which is the same thing. You're just adding seconds to the 3-second. But all you have to do is to add the 3-second rule is when the vehicle in front of you passes some kind of stationary object, you start counting yourself 1001, 1002, 1003. And when you say 3, your front of your vehicle should be passing that same stationary object.
Okay.
And in the rain or any kind of weather like this, you would want to add in, well today you would want to add a second, or at least right now, you would add a second because the ground's wet.
Okay.
So you'd add second to the 3 seconds, and then you get 4 seconds. If it was raining, because you can't see as well, then you'd add a second because of that, and it'd be a 5-second.
Okay.
And that's all you do. You just keep adding seconds and keep that following distance, because that gives you time to react and slow down and do what you have to do.
We're coming down the parkway here, and we see water standing on the shoulders of the road.
Right.
And then sometimes you'll see cars, they'll merge over to try to run through the water.
Make that little rooster tail.
That's right.
Thing.
That's right.
It's neat, but it's not safe. You could drive your car to the right and you'll end up in the ditch. Avoid all that standing water. You could hydroplane, lose control.
Right.
That sort of thing. So you don't want to do that.
Okay.
See, like this light, here's
here
flash.
we go. Right. So we see the cars approaching it, and then we have one coming at the intersection now.
Yes, I'm assuming it's flashing red for him.
Okay.
So he should stop and wait for everybody to come by.
Okay.
We're going to slow down and make sure we're going to cover the brake, which means I'm taking my foot off the gas and putting it on the brake. Not necessarily applying it, even though I might, because I'm not sure what that car there is going to do.
Yeah, he came up pretty far.
And then we're going to come through here slowly, making sure it's safe, and So these cars still have the right of way, but still you need to be safe and be prepared to stop, just in case someone doesn't know what a red flashing light means.
That's right. That's right. Very calm day out here today.
It is. It is. We're seeing a lot of folks stopping too close to each other, especially in this rain. Some folks are doing a good following distance and stopping not too close to the vehicle in front of them.
Okay.
It doesn't look like anybody's driving too fast today.
No, everybody seems like, except for the hump day, they just kind of just taking it easy, aren't they? Yeah, well, that's good. I guess that makes your job a lot easier, and especially being out have to be out in the rain, and nobody wants to have an accident.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to see this car, the green car. See that green pickup truck on the left is following that car way too close, so they'll never be able to stop.
Right.
You know, it just depends on the speed, but that's exactly what you don't want to do.
Absolutely. You know, and one of the other things that we haven't talked about, but we know sometimes when we get just a light rain, and of course, you know, the cars and everything may leak oils and other, you know, fluids, and how that rises to the surface of the pavement.
That's
Talk
right.
about how dangerous that makes driving conditions.
Well, it just adds more. It adds just a slick. It's a slick surface, you know. So that, of course, because it's there, you have to plan for that, and you have to slow down more. So that way, you might slide on that. You're not going to stop on the dime anymore, or quicker, because of the dry ground that was there. Now it's wet and has that slick surface there, so it takes you longer to stop. So you need to have that following distance, and of course slow down so that you can stop without hitting something else,
Right.
making you stop. We're gonna hang out right and just go back up Morgan Street, and and maybe we'll go out New Franklin Road.
Okay. All right. Very good. And this is one of the, I guess, one of our major clutter areas right here. Like right now, the traffic is proceeding on Morgan Street, but we are yielding.
Right.
So after you yield, of course, we make the stop. But I've seen cars come there, and the traffic is flowing, and they'll weed right into traffic. Is that? I guess it's not. Of course, number one, I know it's not safe. But can they be ticketed for doing that?
Now, are you saying that?
They came. The traffic was moving on Morgan.
Like
they
this
came
way?
to the yield. They came to the yield sign, and you know there may have been a little opening there, and they just jumped right in between a couple of cars. You know.
Well, it's not safe. Depending what it is, they could actually, you know, if they're too close, you know, law says you can't be too close to the other car. So if I'm understanding you right, it could be that, or maybe fail to yield the right of way if something happens, you know. Because like I say, sometimes cars are driving faster than we think they are, and anytime you pull out, if at least in my experiences, you know, if the car behind you has to slam on the brakes to keep from hitting you, even though there was an opening, what you did was not safe, and that could create a forfeit citation.
Okay. Yeah, New Franklin Road is almost deserted over here.
Yeah, there's not very many folks. So.
And we just. Oh, look there! Look.
Yeah, that right
you
there,
see that? Yeah, see that?
Yeah, one turn right, one turn left, and it looked like they're kind of trying to meet in the middle.
That's right. Then, you know, we're passing a motorcycle. Talk about, you know, vehicles, you know, kind of making sure they realize that motorcycles are authorized vehicles to use the roadways as well.
That's right. Well, you know, motorcycles are they have a hard time mostly because they don't have as much protection as you do in a vehicle. You know, if something happens to them on the road, it's bad because they have no protection.
Absolutely.
So watch out for the motorcycles. You know, give them their right of way. We're gonna head down this way.
Okay.
Give them the right of way. Watch out for them. Give them extra time to stop and get going. And like I say, since you can't see them as well, give them extra room.
Okay, yeah. Me being a motorcyclist myself, you know, a lot of times, you know, as I approach using those 3D driving techniques that I learned years ago, as you approach an intersection, I always like to slow down, scan as you used a moment ago, you know, both ways, and you know, then proceed through at a safe speed, because I know that, you know, you see a lot of accidents at intersections where cars, as you stated earlier, don't realize that motorcycle may be moving at a rapid rate of speed.
That's right.
You pull out in front of them, and next thing you know, you have a collision.
That's exactly right. So yep, and like I said, they don't have much protection, so it's bad for them.
Yeah,
bad
absolutely.
for any kind of situation.
Yeah.
So, but I think we probably run out of things. At least as far as the road, there's nobody doing anything. I mean, everyone looks like they're wearing their seatbelt. They're not driving very fast. We saw a couple little errors there that are common. So
Okay.
I'm pleasantly surprised and presently
Well, great.
I'm happy that they're driving today like they should be.
Well, you know, I think that's all attributed to the fine men and women down at the LaGrange Police Department.
I agree.
Getting out, just kind of making sure that our citizens understand the law and that they get themselves to and from their various destinations in a safe manner. And, you know, a lot of times they may think, oh, why are they harassing me? No, it's not harassment. Again, you see.
It's all about education.
It's education. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and that's like, say, we talk about that in our defensive driving class. You know, it's you know, what we teach and what we enforce is nothing new. It's just sometimes folks forget a simple thing as just, you know, like our following distance I've talked about, or keeping your speed down, or, you know, just looking out for the other person.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you very much for allowing us to come in and ride along with you today and ride over our beautiful city here. And we're just happy to see that our citizens are observing the law, keeping themselves safe, making sure that our community remains a safe, driving place for not only our citizens, but for visitors that come here.
That's exactly right. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for riding, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to share.
Not a problem. Next time, can I drive?
Yeah, funny.
All right. Well, thank you very much.